In the sequence of the endgame course, this is the part 2 for pawn endgames for intermediate and advanced players, advanced levels. Now we have a position over here on our board, and I want you people to think it is black's move, and he can draw this position. I want you people to pause the video and think that what is the move which draws this position. I'm going to give you a hint, and that is a tempo move. I told you about a tempo move. I hope that you have understood that here the black can attain the opposition by he can get the opposition by giving a tempo move. Other than that, whatever black tries, he loses. For example, if he tries to come near to this pawn, he loses due to the opposition. After c5, king c7, and now king e6. King has to move. King c8, king e7. Sorry, king d6, and king has to move king b7, and after king d7, black has to move the security of this pawn. After king a8, king into pawn, and white wins the game by playing over. So how black can try to draw this game? And the move over here is c5, a tempo move, because after this c move, c5, black can come over here and immediately get the tempo, because in two moves white is going to capture this pawn, and in two moves black is going to take the opposition. Let me illustrate you on the board. For example, king comes here, now king b8, not going for king b7. Even still it is a draw, but the better way is to go for king b8. Now king into c5 and king c7, and black has this opposition. So remember, in these types of end games, never lose an end game. Always try to use your basic end game knowledge. Here the basic end game knowledge which comes into my mind is that by giving this tempo move, black can get the opposition. And after c5, king d5, king b8, king into c5, and king c7, and black has the opposition here, and he draws the king. Because wherever the king moves, king is going to. I hope you have understood this example over here. We go back to our next example, which is an advanced level example. Here, black has a passed pawn on h5. We are going to first assess this position, and we are then going to make a plan, and we are going to think that what basic endgame knowledge we are going to apply over here. If black king moves to somewhere else, like over here, then after this b5 and a6, white is going to take and queen this pawn. And after, if he thinks that white goes over here to capture this pawn on here, and black tries to rotate over here, he would be very late, because this will be very fast. So from assessing this position, we have came to the conclusion that it is white who is better, even black has a passed pawn. So how is he going to hold this position, this black? And this is called a basic creating a mule, creating a fortress by tucking your king into the corner and to hit it from the corner. Let's assume that if black has only this pawn and white has only these two pawns, then it is a draw. So, how to counter these pawns over here? What is the best way to counter these pawns? Because this pawn is going to lose. There is no way that black can stop it. And black can't counter it from here. Then how to counter it? In these types of positions, then you are going to create a fortress going back from over here and even coming over here and creating a counter by using these pawns, creating a fortress over here. The first plan, so for the first plan in the black's mind is now it is whites to move for. I am going to black side that as black is defending over here. Even he has a passed pawn, but he can't counter these over here. So he is going from over here to create a counter and to create a fortress. Because if these two pawns and this pawn is remaining, then black can counter this king. So let's continue with our game. It was white's move and he played the move d5. King d7. King f5. Going for this pawn. Black has the tempo moves to come over here. So he comes over here, king c8, g3. You have understood that this pawn is going to fall. Then why to lose a move by playing the move like h4, h5 over here? Go with our plan, king b8, king into pawn, king a7. Now king tries to come over here by playing the move king g7. Now you counter the pawn, these pawns, three pawns. King still tries to come over here, c into b5, c into b5. Now this position has been raised. We have completed our first plan. And the second plan from the basic endgame comes into mind. The first plan was new one, the fortress, creating a fortress by getting into a corner and creating a mule. Now the second point is to get the opposition. The opposition remains in the endgame till it is a master level or whatever. We are going to use our basic endgame knowledge to win our games. So the second thing is now remained is the opposition. Do not let the king come near these squares on c2. If he is able to come to c7 or c8, he's going he is going to able to come to c5 and to b6. He is going to win this pawn. So to counter it, we now go back over king b8, king e5. For example, if he tries king e6, king c8, king c7 could also be played. After that, king d5, and now king d7, and you have the opposition. If king goes over here, you goes to king c7, and there is no way that white can make progress. If he plays this pawn, you immediately takes it. After take, and you are going to this corner. And if he plays this pawn over here, you are going to come over here and over here. that when the king would come over here, then it would be a stalemate. When your king would be here. I will illustrate you. King d6, king a8, king d7, king b8, king d8, king a8, and king c8, and it is a draw. So we go over back to our main position. We understood that we can't counter it from over here. So this is the new rule. It comes into the intermediate level to create a fortress. And this type of fortress is tucking your king into the corner over here. This pawn is going to fall. So you go with the plan. The first plan is you go over it after b5, you go immediately. King d7, king f5, king c8, king g6, king b8, king h6. This pawn was going to fall. There was nothing you can do about it. So king a7, king g6, bringing the king to control these squares. Now you immediately create two pawns instead of three pawns over here. c6, king f6, still trying to come to these square, control of these squares. C into b5, c into b5. Now we can't let white to control these squares, c7, c8, and this b6 square. So our second rule comes, that is opposition. King b8, king e5, king c8, king d6, king d8, and now white can't make any type of progress. If he plays the move king c5, you goes for king c7, king d5, king d7. There is no way that white can make it forward. So here now you have understood a new rule, new method how to make a fortress in a lost position and draw a. Yeah. The second example is that I want you people to pause and think that what is the move here white could play, keeping in mind that black's king is very far from his pawns. How you can create a counter by using the whether the pawns are the king and win this game. Kindly pause the video and think. I hope you have thought, given a thought to this position. We are going to utilize the position of the king, which is very far from this battle and very far from his pawns. And the most beautiful move is that b4, the pawn breakthrough. This we have been able to achieve because of this king's position, because it is very far away. After c into b4, e5. Now remember the rule, the square rule. King is very far. He can't stop this pawn to queen. In this image position, if you had the concept of square rule in your mind, the basic end game, whenever I am going to play this pawn over here and black takes it and I moves my pawn over here, then black king is out of the square and I can queen this pawn. Pawn breakthrough, the two plans do two things in our plan. First was that we are going to do the pawn breakthrough, but the second thing which we are going to calculate is that when we move our pawn to c5, the black king is very away to come into this square and we are going to queen first. To see how our basic endgame knowledge comes into use in advanced level or intermediate level endgames, and how we can apply it to win the games. Here the move was b4. After pawn into b4, now c5. King can't hold it. Lost white queens first. White is a tempo move up the white queen. I hope you have understood this, that we are going to use our basic endgame knowledge. There might be two, three, four things in a position. We are going to assess step by step by using our basic endgame knowledge, and then we are going to generate our plan. We are going to create our plan. We move over to next example, and it is a very famous example. Here it is white's move. I'm going to flip the board for you people. It is white's move and draw the game. Black is up, white's position king is far away. But before that, to let you, I want you people to pause the video and think. First, give a thought, think that what happens, what type of plan white should have in his mind. I hope you have given a thought, and most of you people were unable to understand the move, that what would white play and draw the game. So I'm going to let you revise the position. You remember this position, that restricting your king in the corner, and his pawn is on a6, and he can't go anyway from these squares, because after king a8, king over a7, king a7, king c7. Now again look at this position. I'm going to flip the board and think that how you can achieve that position. Now here these are the important squares which you are going to control. This pawn is in on white square. When this king would take, black king will take this pawn, he will be on white square. And you have to control these squares, these side squares. And out of which these two one are white and three are white squares. So you are going to control these square, white square. And how you can do it? The maneuver is very tough one. The first move is tough one, and that is you are going to challenge the king in front of it. And how you can do it? By playing the move king h8. Black moves the move king f6. You are going to control this white square, the c2 square. So you go from over here. You place the move h7, king e5. You goes king g6, shouldering the king. King d4, king f5, king c3, king e4. King goes over here to b7, king d3. And now when the king pawn takes pawn, now it is the position king c2, and black can't do anything over here. I had this type of position. It was roundabout similar in a game, and I basically lost it. And I came to this example afterwards, and I understood that I could have drawn it. So our end game knowledge comes a very worthwhile. It is very worthwhile to know that and to apply it. Then how to apply it? Here we understood that our pawn is on light scale, and we are going to control the light scale in front of it. So we are going to move our king on the light scales, control this c2 scale. And when this king would reach over here and capture this pawn, we will be in front of it. And the King we are going to do is that king h8. We are going to maneuver our king over here because the king is going to move fast. Capture this pawn. And after that, king h7. Now we are going to move on these light square. King e5, king g6. The shouldering of king. I told you the shouldering of king. King d4, king f5, king c3, king e4, king b2, king d3, king into a2, king c2. And here is no way that black can make progress. So it is a draw. So I hope you've understood this example also. That how maneuver or use a tempo move and use the knowledge that where your pawn is are located, and you remember the themes, the simple themes in the games which you have played, and apply them in most difficult positions. So let's go to our next example, and that is our pawn is on fourth ranks, sorry, fifth rank, and black's pawn is on sixth rank. Now we can leave this pawn to king, and we are going to capture this pawn. But the thing we are going to calculate is that whether black can reach this square first or not. It is a simple calculation that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 moves. Our king will be on b7. But black would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves also. But he will be tempo down. So we immediately move our king to d5. King comes to capture the pawn. King to c6. King into pawn. King b6. Now king comes over here. King into pawn. King d7. And now black is the tempo down. And wins the pawn and we win the game. Remember that the pawns are not fourth rank. But what happens if these pawns are on fifth rank? Sorry, fourth rank instead of the fifth and sixth rank. And our pawn is on fourth rank. Still, what happens now? The problem is that now we are going to again calculate that if we take the pawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, black 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He need 5 moves and we need 6 moves. So this is a draw. A simple calculation. Even if we go for this f6 check, king goes over here f8. We goes over here king to d6, king f7. We goes over here to king c6, king into pawn, king b6. Now you can see that we capture this pawn. 3 moves we come over here, and in 3 moves he come over here, but he's a tempo up because after this move he is going to come in just 2 moves and we need 3 moves. But on the 6th it was not possible because we had the tempo move to come. But here this b7 square, remember this b7 square is 2 moves far away, and in this position where the pawns are on his pawn or is on 6th rank, which we take, it is just 1 move away. Here it is 2 moves away after taking the pawn, and here on the 6th it is just 1 move away. So this position is a draw. After f6 check, he goes for f8. We tries to come over here. He comes over here. He comes to c5, king into pawn, king b4, sorry, b5. He's fast enough to reach over here to counter us. Because if we goes over here, then same this position is being. If we move the pawn over here, he goes up for over here. Remember the rule. He's come to the square of the pawn. Basic endgame knowledge. I hope you have understood this example. Now we go for the Bahut's rule. We will see the further examples in the next video. And this video is getting longer, but I'm going to let you people understand that if the pawns are on fourth rank and it is white's move, the reason behind it is that white is winning because first tries to capture the pawn on fourth rank, and from fourth rank he has to go to take control of the square of b7. And if we calculate the moves over here, black needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves, and white needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and white is a tempo up. So we go with the game king d4, king f5, king c5, king into pawn, king b4, king tries to counter it, king into pawn, king comes to d6, and now we get the opposition by king b3. King tries to get b7, and now king b7. We have the opposition, and we have the tempo moves to make the queen. I hope you have understood that what happens if the pawns are on fourth rank and white has an extra pawn on f file on fourth rank. And what happens if the pawns are on fourth rank but the pawn is on fifth rank, the passed pawn. Here black has less move to come to this square to control this p7 square. That's why it is a draw. If same thing happens, the pawns are on over here. The pawn is still on the fifth rank, the passed pawn, but the opponent pawn is on sixth rank and our pawn is on fifth rank, then it is a win. The reason behind is that we are going to control the b7 rank in just one move. So I hope you have enjoyed my video and have learned a lot from it. So kindly subscribe and hit the bell icon button. Thank you very much.